Welcome back to Project 613. Today we learn about how the Jewish courts have to thoroughly investigate the witnesses that come before them to give testimony, especially when it comes to a capital case. Of course, even when it comes to a financial dispute, the witnesses over there also have to be very thoroughly investigated, but specifically when it comes to a capital case, there is even a higher level of investigation that is necessary, and that's mainly what we will be talking about today. The Torah tells us, "V'chakarta v'darashta v'sha'alta hetiv." You shall seek out, you shall investigate, and you shall question very well. And that means that when the two witnesses come in front of the Jewish court to testify, and there has to be at least two witnesses, the Torah tells us. So the first, most very basic thing is that each of these two witnesses is going to be cross-examined, and they are going to be asked separately all of the various questions. If their testimony contradicts, if one of the testimonies contradict another one, and even some of the slightest details, then the testimony is automatically considered invalid. And it's for this reason that we have different categories of questions that we ask these witnesses. In general, they are broken up into three categories. They are known as chakiras, drishas, and bedikas. The chakiras and drishas are considered a higher level testimony where the witnesses are forced to answer all of these questions, and if they do not know the answers to these questions, if even one of them doesn't know the answer to these questions, then the testimony would be considered invalid. When it comes to the bedikas, however, if the witnesses do not know the answer to these questions, we would not necessarily invalidate the testimony. However, if they would give an answer and then we would find that answer to be contradicted by the other witness, then it would be considered invalid. So what are these three categories? Dirishas means the basic information about the time and the place that the crime has occurred. And we get very specific. We want to know the date of the month, the date of the week. We want to know the exact location. We want to know the exact time of the day. This is going to be very relevant. We're going to learn later about another mitzvah about when testimony can be contradicted based on other witnesses coming and testifying that the first set of witnesses were with them at that time. So it's crucial that we have the exact time, and the witnesses must provide the time. If they don't, the testimony is not accepted. But that is all derishas. Chakiris means basic questions about the nature of the crime itself. So let's say we're talking about a case of murder, we would want to know how the person was murdered, what type of knife, and so on. If it was a testimony about idolatry and idol worship, we would want to know what type of idol worship, how was it served, and so on. These are the two most crucial elements of the investigation. And as mentioned, these witnesses are cross-examined, and we want to make sure that both of their stories add up exactly. The bedikas, however, is slightly easier, and these are additional, more general questions which not necessarily they would have remembered, which is why if they choose to say that they don't know, that is fine. However, if they do give information and then that is contradicted by their friend, that would not be accepted. So for example, if it was a case of a murder, we would want to know what color clothing was the murderer wearing at the time, and questions of that nature. Over here, as mentioned, they don't have to answer. But if they do and it's contradicted, then their testimony would be thrown out as well. We're going to be learning more about testimony in the coming days and about what makes a testimony considered acceptable and how it could be contradicted. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.